What's up, Central Illinois business owners? We know that insurance and employee benefits are one of the most expensive, confusing, and frustrating hurdles that you face in your business today. Garrett and I work with Central Illinois businesses to create insurance and risk management programs and employee benefit solutions that reduce risk, enhance your business, and maximize your profitability. Head to CIBLinsurance.com to learn more about insurance solutions that are specifically designed for your Central Illinois businesses and to watch our educational videos about work comp, employee health insurance, commercial insurance, and other insurance products to help your business go to the next level. Go to CIBLinsurance.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? Welcome to CIBL Podcast, where we bring you concepts and strategies to grow your Central Illinois business. Today's guest, actually, before I do that, we are brought to you by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit or wildberry vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at ZambuLiquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, today's guest is the founder of W5 Coaching. Ladies and gents of Central Illinois, please welcome John Nieuwenburg. How are you doing, John?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Yeah, we're excited to have you on the show and learn a little bit about your business. But before we do that, John, we're going to kick it to Garrett, and he's going to take you through our speed round questions.
All right. We spoke a little bit before we jumped on here that we've got 6 of the toughest icebreaker questions that you could ever face in the world. Sounds like you shouldn't be stressed because you told us a little bit beforehand that you're in the middle of a move. You've got guys hooking up TVs and internet. So life is, not stressful at all for you right now, right?
No, I haven't had any stress in the last 2 weeks. None.
The joys of moving. Did you say this will be your last move? I feel like everybody that moves, they typically say this is the last one, right?
Well, I'm 69, so the next move is either going to be into an old folks home or in a box.
There you go. Oh, shoot. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and kick it off.
Sure.
All right. The first concert that you ever attended?
Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. I was living in Winnipeg. I drove 24 hours through the night to get to Toronto and was in a stadium concert. And Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young was on an 8-track tape, and the guys with me were bored to tears because that's the only tape we had.
Oh, that's great.
That's good.
Your favorite movie?
Well, there's a lot of them. The first one that came to mind for some reason is Out of Africa with Robert Redford and Meryl Streep. And it's kind of romantic, a little bit soapy, but also, about human nature and a bunch of other themes.
Nice.
Great.
Your favorite ice cream flavor?
The next one?
Yeah.
You go to one of these places and there's like 100 different flavors. So, if you had to narrow it down, it'd be just any high quality vanilla.
Gotcha. Are you an iPhone or Android guy?
Oh man, I'm an Apple guy. I've got every device, probably like 3 of them actually.
Nice. Your favorite social media platform?
It used to be Twitter, but things have changed, and it used to be LinkedIn as well, and that's changed a lot as well. So I'm going to say Facebook, but it's kind of the best out of the set of choices that are available today.
Sure. I think a lot of it depends on the reach you're trying to get and the client you're trying to find, or
right.
whatever you're looking to do with the social media platform at that point. So Last but not least, we typically ask why Central Illinois, but I'm going to ask you, tell us a little bit about where you're from and why you're there.
I'm just let me shut this down. I'm from originally from Winnipeg, which is not far from where you guys are, just north of Minneapolis. I lived in a bunch of different places in Canada, but the last 25 years in Vancouver, and as it happened in the last week, we moved to a place called Kelowna, which is sort of Canada's equivalent of Napa Valley, lots of vineyards, tourism, sports, outdoor activity, beautiful part of the world.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. And that sounds nice. We Garrett and I live in the middle of a cornfield. We can find a bottle of wine here and there. So that sounds like a nice place to be, John. At this point, John, what we'll do is we're going to give you the microphone. You take it, as far back as you'd like, bring us up to speed with where you're at today, share anything in between about your business, and it's all yours.
Well, I'm a business coach. I've been a business coach for 20 years. I had a bit of an epiphany. It's Steve Jobs said you can only connect the dots going backwards. And so when I started as a coach 20 years ago, early in that, I had this kind of moment where I recognized I've been a coach all my life, and I connected some dots. I'll share a few of them with you. I'm the eldest of 8 children, so you can imagine how that sets you up in life and the kind of role or responsibility. I'm hardwired to be a teacher. And I knew that in high school, but in those days, that meant wearing Harris tweed coats and elbow patches. That bureaucratic style didn't appeal to me very much. And in the early 80s, I learned something called the Socratic method of leadership. So Socrates had it the best way to help somebody is help figure it out for themselves. And that's what I do as a coach. I'm not there to tell you what you need to do, but I'll help you figure out what's right for you to do. So that's what I've been practicing. Since the early 80s, but professionally since 2004.
Very nice. Very nice. So 20 years of business coaching. I got to ask before we dig into exactly what your processes are. What's been the biggest change in 20 years in the business field?
Wow. Technology is, all of us are talking about AI, and yesterday I was talking to a client who wanted to onboard a new team member, and hey, do you have an onboarding process? No, pretty small business. So we opened Chat GPT, and she had one 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's wild,
And that's just one example of how much technology has grown over the last 20 years. And, Chat GPT is going to do what Google did. What was that, 30 years ago? Well, this is the new era again of search.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
I joke with Derek from time to time. I wish Chat GPT was around when I was in school. Because
there's a couple of months after Chat came out, I read a story of a professor in the University of Pennsylvania, a law professor. He gave Chat GPT his law exam, and Chat got 90%.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Wow.
That's wild.
It sure is.
Yeah.
The ultimate guide to cheat.
There you go.
So, John, as a business coach, tell us a little bit about exactly who you work with, what type of businesses. Just give us kind of an idea of who you work with there.
Yeah, so let me answer that in 2 ways. So the people I work with are challenged around one or all of time, team, or money. So they're saying things like, I've got too much to do. I can't get everything done. If I don't do it, it won't get done. No one can do it as good as me. Pretty typical complaints. Team is about recruiting is very difficult these days, hiring, getting people to do the work at the level quality you need, and getting the culture you want is difficult. And money is both, on one hand, having proper financials, reporting, KPIs, a dashboard, a way to measure. And the other side of money, of course, is I need better sales and marketing because I need more money. So those are the problems that all my clients have in one way or another. And I tend to work with 2 kinds of clients. So on one hand, they're electricians, plumbers, general contractors. They've got a trade or a craft. They get a truck. Suddenly they wake up, they got 5 trucks and 8 guys, and they've lost control. And the other kind of client I work with is professionals. And so they're lawyers, accountants, health practitioners, et cetera. And what's amazing is they both have the same problems. They took 7 years to become a lawyer, 5 years to become a Red Seal electrician. They're great at their craft, great at profession, lousy at business because they never had any business training. I asked a physiotherapist, how much business training did you get in university? Well, maybe an hour. Oh, well, I can't help you be a better lawyer, but that's not what the problem is here.
Yeah.
Sure.
So once you get in with those businesses, tell us a little bit about the services that you can provide to help them learn the business side. Obviously, you don't teach them how to, fit pipes and, put shingles on, but you are the behind the scenes building the business. Tell us a little bit about some of your processes there.
Yeah, so we have a process, 5 steps to freedom. It starts at the creation stage, usually pre-revenue. You're trying to figure out how to position yourself in the market. Step 2 is a thing called chaos. You launch the business, and now there's a bit of a wobble. You try to find your footing, and you're trying to figure out your sales program. At the next level, the business is starting to be profitable, and you want to scale the growth. At level 4, the business is doing very well. Lots of owners like it that way. They're involved in the business typically almost every day. But others want to get to freedom, which means they're free to spend their time as they wish, to have money to do that. It could be because they want to go golfing every day, or they want to start another business, or they want to sell the business. Inside that 5 steps are 22 silver bullets, which are typically the kind of systems that we'd help a business owner implement. They're arranged through the 5 steps so that at each step along the way. Typically, when I start with a client, you'd like to, have a look a year down the road. What are we trying to do? What's the business plan? What's the strategic plan? But what I learned early as a coach, one of my first ever clients, I was working with them on a strategic plan, kind of, the academic thing about let's figure out the future. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, the guy wasn't really engaged or participating. And it's like, what's happening here, man? And he said, I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't make payroll tomorrow. Oh, I'm a doofus. Yeah. And so what I've learned in coaching is there's always going to be a burning bush. And to some extent, you're in the weeds trying to deal with what's happening today. And at the same time, trying to get to the 10,000, 15,000 foot level and having a look down to the horizon. And each week it's a little of what's the balance look like today? Should we spend all of our time on the burning bush, or can we set that aside and have a look at something we want to do to build the business?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Excellent.
Now, John, I've got your website pulled up here. And is this something that you typically work one-on-one with business owners? Do you have a team that you work with behind the scenes?
So the only thing I do in my business literally is talk to clients.
Okay.
And so behind the scenes, I have someone who, my bookkeeper, of course, and I've got a virtual assistant. And then I have a marketing colleague who leads that entire, that entire exercise, that entire energy. And that frees me up. I work 3.5 days, and every hour I'm working, I'm talking to someone.
Sure. Nice.
Perfect. So
there's only one thing I do better than everybody else, and that's talk to clients. Now, that's in the context of my business. No one can do that part as good as me, but everyone else, anything apart from that, someone else can do. Probably even better than me.
Okay. So one thing that I know a lot of business owners, it doesn't matter if you're a small business, big business, even just business leaders, CEO, CFO, manager. Garrett and I are none of those. We are insurance agents, so we have a busy schedule with clients. One of the biggest issues any business leader has is time management. Yeah. So is that something that you're able to help your clients with? And if so, Definitely. Tell us a little bit about some of the ideas that you talk around time management regarding.
Yeah. So I said one of the 3 pain points has to do with time. And typically one of the things that people resist taking on coaching is they're like, I'm too big a lady. How am I gonna manage this? But one of the exercises I would do in the early days of coaching a client is I promise I can find 7, 8, 9 hours of work you currently do you should not be doing. Because an electrician might charge out $150 an hour, let's say. And there's work that electrician's doing that a virtual assistant will do for $10 an hour and do a better job of it. Sure. And so one way to do this is to do an audit, to actually make a record for what you do for a week in 15-minute increments. So it's quite granular. And then you put it in a thing called a skill fund box. So it's a 2x2 quadrant. On one hand is skill, and on the other hand is fun, or pays the bills. In the upper right quadrant, that's like $150 up there, or if you're a lawyer, $300, $400, $500. And that bottom left quadrant is $10. And so one more billable hour buys you back 10 hours of someone else's work. And what I do is, doing the audit is kind of a tedious thing, and lots of guys never do it. But then I give them a hack. And the hack is anytime you say to yourself, "Oh crap," for some version of it, I need to do whatever that is. You shouldn't be doing it anymore.
Okay.
Because that's you telling, I got to do payroll, or I got to do bookkeeping, or I've got to do whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you say that to yourself, or whatever you're putting off, because whatever that is, those are the things you shouldn't be doing anymore. And you already know it. You just don't know how to deal with it, what to do about it.
Yeah. That's so true.
Well, one thing I've noticed on your website as well is you have a book, 5 Steps to Freedom. Could you tell us a little bit about your book?
Well, it's sometimes people show up and they want to know a little more about how it works and what's the process. And so for people that want to do more of a deep dive, that's what it is. It's, kind of a 50-page unpacking of the principles of the 5 steps. There's a certain style, a certain kind of person that wants to get there's a kind of person, a lot of people are business owners. The only thing they care about is what time is it, but there's a certain other kind of person who's got to tell you how the watch is built before they will tell you what time it is. And so some people need more data, and so it's there for those people.
Perfect. So, hey, Central Illinois professionals, do you know where people go to learn more about you? They typically either go to your About Us section of your website or your LinkedIn profile. And guess what the first impression is that they see? That's right. It is your professional headshot. Your headshot is part of your brand. Your brand should proudly show the world how passionate you are about delivering quality products and services to your customers. At Studio 21, you won't get the boring old headshots that everyone else has. When you get photos with Melissa Hardin at Studio 21, your headshots will show off your strength, confidence, and approachability. To book a professional headshot appointment for you and your team, call Melissa at 217-962-0048 or visit www.melissamharden.com. That's MELISSAMHARDEN.com. And let Melissa at Studio 21 help you stand out from the crowd. One question I like to ask any of our guests who have written a book or done anything, published any type of material, what steps, this has nothing to do with really your business, but maybe helping some of our listeners who might want to do something like this. How did you go about writing? It looks like an ebook to me. It's kind of a lead magnet for you where you can
get
information.
Definitely.
So tell us a little bit about your process of how you built that ebook.
I can talk really good. I have someone on my team who's great at taking what I say and turning that into what's on the book. Because for me to communicate those ideas might have done 3 hours and 1 hour. For me to write that thing might have been 50 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And someone else will do a better job of taking what I describe. All my blog posts are produced that way. 50-minute conversation turns into a 500,000 word blog post. So, I tried hiring copywriters and let them write the posts. And what I found is they're great writers, but they don't know enough about the business to give it any value. It's kind of like this feels like someone's grade 12 essay assignment. This isn't good enough. And so what I learned is go find someone who's really good at writing, tell them about something I'm thinking about, or what I often do is I'll think about the most interesting question I got from a client or a prospect last week. What were they asking about? Okay, well, let's talk about that. And that turns into a blog post.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
Do you feel like your blog is one of your biggest attractors for your business as far as when people find you as the blog, what brings some clients to you?
Definitely.
Perfect.
In the early days of starting a business or starting as a coach, all of your marketing is outbound, where you initiate, you're making the phone call. You guys know this.
Yep.
But as you, as your business matures and gets a little stronger, almost all of the leads I get find me.
Awesome.
Because of the website or because they're searching for something and my blog or the ebook or something comes up. But a lot of times people who are starting a business think they can rely on social or content, and they can if they've got a year's worth of money in the bank at whatever the burn rate is. Otherwise, make a phone call.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. So you, go ahead, Garrett.
I was just going to say, my question is for our listeners in audience, if somebody was interested in trying to get in touch with you, you know, what's the best way for them to do that? I see all your contact information here on the website, you know, and when somebody decides to, you know, I think the scariest thing for most business individuals or leaders is to what? Just make the call, right? So tell us a little bit about that and what the process looks like.
It's super easy. You know, W5 coaching, I'm easy to find, lots of social platforms. The website's great. If you reach out through the website, there's kind of a process. We'll do a little bit of trying to get a bit of an understanding of where you're at. You'll get access to the calendar, a short introductory meeting, and then I'll send you a document that helps you think about where you want some help. So there's 20 areas that people are thinking about, and that usually helps them get more clear about they need help and where they need help. And it also sometimes helps them get some education. Oh, you can help me with that. Oh yeah, I need that too. And so the first call is relatively short. Let's see if this is all fit or if we're on the same page. And then we, you know, book a full discovery meeting.
Nice.
Very nice. So another resource that I see that you offer is some of your recommended books for business success. And Garrett and I are both, we like to read and learn from other people. Tell us about some of the books that you recommend to other business leaders to help them grow their knowledge.
Yeah. So the first one, above all else, is a thing called the E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth, E-myth. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it. It's in my Amazon cart list right now. I've not ordered it, but it's in my list.
The premise of the book is Sarah loved baking cherry pies. She loved it so much she opened a bakery. Then she discovered just because she's good at baking doesn't mean she knows how to run a bakery. Yep. So that's the first third of the book, and anyone who's read it who's a business owner immediately, oh man, that's me. And then the final 2/3 of the book is kind of recipe or methodology for making that problem go away, which is essentially what I do as a coach. His principles are the principles that are universal for helping business owners.
Excellent. And it looks like
in fact, I'll take a minute to talk about that if that's okay.
Sure,
absolutely.
A business ought to be thought of as a three-legged stool. So the first leg of the stool is systems run your business, people run your systems, you lead your people. So if people run your business, the business falls and rises on the capability of the people. If systems run your business, then the business has a stable, robust platform. So the simple example is, how do they make those French fries? Tastes so good in your town and mine. The fries are made by a 16-year-old, and the parents of that 16-year-old can't get him or her to clean their bedroom. How do they do that? This is how we make fries. This is the system. Here's the recipe. So the second leg is about 85% of what happens in a business ought to be routine. This is how we do it. It's written, it's documented, it's the system. 15% of the time or something like that, something blows up, something doesn't work. One Saturday night, we run out of potatoes. Nobody knows what to do. Got to make a phone call. So the third leg of the stool is when something like that happens, you always look for a system solution, never a people solution. So the question becomes, what would the system have to be so we would know what to do the next time we run out of potatoes? Or even better, how would we improve the system so we don't run out of potatoes? Because we don't want to phone the boss at midnight on Saturday, we're out of potatoes. Yeah. So that's the premise of the E-Myth and the core foundation of what it takes to get from that frantic pulling your hair out to where the business runs smoothly and profitably without you.
Excellent. Well, there's a laundry list of books here that I'm going to add to my list here. I have a few of them added. Atomic Habits is the one that has been a really popular one with our guests and our listeners, and Garrett and I have both read it. Yeah. Is that one that you would recommend? Obviously, it's on your website. Tell us a little bit about why you recommend it.
Atomic refers to the idea of something very, very small. And the premise he makes is that if you improve by 1% per day on any given endeavor, over the course of a year, that'll compound to 38%. And so the book is chock full of all kinds of different ideas around how to make habits better, how to improve your habits. No matter how much willpower or discipline you have, the same as me, not enough. It's kind of a myth that, and so the best way to get the behavior we're looking for is to create a system or an environment around us that supports the behavior we're looking for. So let me give you a quick example. There's a guy named Sean Aker, a professor, TED speaker, written lots of books. The dude's successful. Wanted to learn to play guitar. Puts the guitar in the living room. 6 months later, every time he goes in the living room, he picks up the TV remote because that's the default easiest thing to do. So then he changes the environment, takes the batteries out of the remote, puts them in another part of the house, 20-second walk. Now he goes in the living room. What's the default action?
Guitar.
The guitar.
Sure.
Yeah.
So change the environment so it supports the behavior. James Clear talks about wanting to drink less beer. Okay, well, not no beer, but less beer. So he took the beer out of the fridge door, easy, and he stuck it in behind the salad, and you had to pull out, the leftovers from yesterday. So now there's just that much resistance was enough to kind of slow him down and have him cut back on. And so those are some of the stories that you read about and some of the principles that he talks about in Atomic Habits.
Garrett, I
There
think
you
your solution is just put the salad behind the beer so then you don't have to eat as much salad.
I just was thinking, man, my wife might take the beer and just put it in the garage fridge now or something,
If I can make one more recommendation, another book on the list is one called Crucial Conversations. So the definition of a crucial conversation is any conversation where emotions and stakes are high. And as business owners, we have those routinely, hourly, sometimes by the minute. And so one of the definitions I like to offer, the best leaders are those that are most willing and most capable of having a crucial conversation. Because often business owners avoid, hard, put off. And so the book is great, first of all, in helping you recognize what looks like and having how to build the skills that it takes so that you can have those conversations and do them in ways that get the result that you're looking for, but leaves everyone still feeling good about things.
I like that.
That's great.
John, one book that Garrett and I read it or listen to it on Audible at least once a year. And it's a book. The author's name is Chris Voss. Are you familiar with Chris Voss?
Never split the difference.
Yes.
Anyone in the negotiating game better read that once a year.
Yes, that is a good one. We recommend that one to anybody that asked us for recommendations. But I would say those tactics, and it's not like you're trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes. It's just using the words to get more information to help the client.
Oh, that guy's a superstar at Crucial Conversations.
Oh,
yeah.
I can remember when we first started to read that book. Yeah. We would try it out on our wives.
Yeah.
So let me offer you a hack, because you kind of just mentioned it. All of us should go to Windshield University. So what I mean by that is, why not spend the time when you're behind a windshield anyway, listening to Audible, listening to a book. And if you want, some guys get caught up in sports radio or something, and okay, listen on the way to work, do the right thing, listen to a book, get smarter. On the way home, I don't care. Whatever you want. Sports, fine.
Yep. Yeah.
No, you don't have to, just because I've asked you to take a aspirin doesn't mean you have to take the whole bottle.
Right. Exactly. No, that's a great, I would say that's the one thing that has helped me. Actually, it was after reading Atomic Habits. I every morning after reading Atomic Habits, I have read 10 pages of a book. It didn't matter what type of book, but I've read at least 10 pages of any book. And I've probably read 60 to 70 books at this point. So that's what I gained from Atomic Habits was, do those small things. And if I can't read, I'll listen to a podcast that's not typically not an entertainment podcast. It's more of an educational, business or insurance or real estate or something, learning from other people who have done it before me and done it, successfully. Yeah. That's a great rule to live by is instead of being entertained, learn.
Are you familiar with Farnham Street, Shane Parrish?
I'm not.
He does a podcast. It's excellent. And the motto of the podcast is learn from others what they've already learned so that you can accelerate your own learning. So it's FS Blog. Farnham Street. And Farnham Street, of course, is where Warren Buffett lives.
Okay. Perfect. I'm looking it up now. I'm adding it to my list here.
Yeah, that's what I'm writing down as well. Great advice.
Shane is brilliant.
Well, I know we got to be closing in on time here as we get close to the end. Can you, any last advice that you've got for any business leaders that, you know, would maybe be interested in reaching out to you?
That, you know, I'll tell you a story of a client. Fred's his name. He owns a factory, 2 shifts. It starts at 6, finishes at 10. He was the kind of owner that needed to be on the factory floor all of the time because nothing happened unless he was there to fix a problem. And so one day, and he lived an hour's drive. So the factory closed at 10, he'd drive home 11 o'clock, and the factory started at 6, so he's up at 4:30. So he's sleeping on the couch 2-3 nights a week. And one day his wife says to him, "Your business is your mistress. If you don't do something about it, I will." Now here's this business owner, and what he knows is grinding. Like he's working like 80 hours a week, and that's what he knows, and that's the only thing he knows. And it's like, I don't know why it's not getting better, but this is what I have to do. It was only when he was confronted with that ultimatum, really, that he realized he wasn't willing to pay that price. And so what I'd say is that if your business is not serving your life, the ultimate purpose of a business, the kinds that we're talking about here, smaller business, the ultimate purpose of that business is to give you, the owner, the life you want. And if your life in some way sucks, and it's because of the business, get help.
Yep.
Nice.
That's
Great
what I'd
advice.
say.
That's great advice. Well, for all you loyal listeners out there, make sure you're subscribing to the CIBL podcast on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. While you're there, please leave us a review. You can also find us on social media, mainly Facebook and LinkedIn. You can connect with Garrett and I there personally as well. Until next time, John, you have officially been civilized. Thanks for coming on the show, John.
Thanks, John.
Well, it's a treat to be welcome to the group.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL Podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.
What's up, Central Illinois? You know what you all need? You all need some CIBL podcast swag. And thanks to our newest sponsor, Jedco Sales, you can now find our swag at CIBLmerch.com. You can find t-shirts, sweatshirts, polos, hats, and more, all classically adorned with our famous CIBL podcast logo. If you want to represent and support your favorite podcast, check out CIBLmerch.com. That's CIBLmerch.com. If you like our store, you can also build your very own business swag store with the help of Jedco Sales in Effingham, Illinois. Jedco is owned by previous CIBL guests, Andrew and Laren Dial. They've set up a special discount offer for CIBL guests and listeners to set up your very own custom branded swag store. You can now offer branded apparel to your employees, customers, and fans, and Jedco will fulfill all the orders for you. Contact Jedco at sales@jedcosales.com. That's sales@JEDCO sales.com, and tell them that Garrett and Derek sent you. Let Jedco help you get noticed.